in ShelbyTV studios today with Fred Miller, who's running for Macomb County Clerk and Register of Deeds. Fred, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So why don't you just start out by telling us, a little bit about your background, where you live, how long you've been a resident of Macomb County, a little bit of your educational and professional background that makes you a good candidate.
Well, thanks for performing this important public service, because informed voters make good decisions, and I appreciate the opportunity. So again, my name is Fred Miller. I'm 44 years old. Maybe by the time this broadcast, I'll be 45. I'm married, and I have two little daughters, ages 7 and 9. They attend L'Anse Creuse Public Schools, and pretty much they keep us very busy going to soccer and to violin lessons and school activities and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really fabulous time of life for my wife and I. We live in Mount Clemens, where we've been for 18 years for a while, and love downtown Mount Clemens, and love being in Macomb County. I was a county commissioner for 3 terms, representing Mount Clemens, Clinton Township, parts of Harrison, parts of Macomb Township. And prior to that, I served 3 terms as a state representative in the legislature, serving central Macomb County. As the county commissioner, had the good fortune to chair the finance committee. And so that was really the time when I first started to work really intensively with the clerk's office, and worked on their budget, worked with the former clerk, and saw all the different aspects of citizens' lives as well as county government that the clerk's office impacts. And it really occurred to me that this is a position kind of behind the scenes, one that regular folk don't necessarily think about on a daily basis, but really has an incredible impact on making government run efficiently, to be able to deliver services efficiently and cost effectively, as well as great customer service for the public that has to intersect with the clerk's office in many, many ways.
Okay, so you kind of addressed a little bit about why you're running for this office now then, because it's not your first campaign, obviously. But what special skills or strengths do you have that make you the best candidate for Macomb County Clerk?
I think for what we need in a clerk right now is different than maybe we needed in a clerk 2 years ago, because the clerk's office has gone through this high-profile chaos and trauma, not only that have been experienced by the employees who work there, but also by the public in terms of decline in services. What was once this award-winning office really has had to be rebuilt. And the interim clerks that were appointed by the judges following the other clerk being removed from office by a judge have done a great job of stabilizing the office and dealing with some of the backlogs and things like that. But really, in a clerk, we need someone who understands what the clerk's office does, understands how to work within county government, but then also understands what the community needs too, because the clerk's office, like other county departments, has to service the internal parts of county government as well as service the citizens, the public. Whenever we have to go to court for a lawsuit or a motion or whatnot, it's the clerk staff that's working diligently behind the scenes to record all those motions and make sure that the courts run properly. Similarly, they handle the background checks and logging all the information for the sheriff's department. They keep records for all the different boards within county government. But of course, citizens think about the clerk's office because it intersects with us in our milestone moments. We get our birth certificates, marriage licenses, death certificates, our CPL licenses there, and a whole host of other vital records that we have to get there. And of course, the clerk is the chief elections officer for the county too. So we all think about that, especially in the fall when we have these important upcoming elections. So I believe I have the experience, I have the connections, I have the knowledge of the issues. But I also want to emphasize that I'm not related to anybody in county government. I don't come from a political family, and so while I've been working at this for a while, I kind of bring an outsider's perspective, and I have a history of reform, and I wrote the county ethics ordinance. I reformed the way that county contracts are awarded to instill more oversight and checks and balances, and so I really have never. I work hard to not lose sight of whose government this is. It's not for the politicians, it's for the people. And we need people on the inside who constantly remember that and are working to make sure that it's still the people's office.
Excellent. What do you think right now is the greatest concern? I mean, you kind of covered some of the areas that you think you'd work on improving for the county clerk's office, but if there was one thing that you could point to that's the greatest concern for our area in terms of the county clerk's office, what would it be, and how would you address that issue?
Well, there are two things that I think are urgent and need to happen. I mean, there are a lot of things that have to happen internally and externally, but two things come to mind immediately. The previous clerk, Clerk Sabaugh, had a quick response notification system that when, if anything was changed on your deed as a property owner, as a homeowner or a business owner, you would automatically know. They would send out postcards to you so that you know, so that in the event that you didn't make these changes, that you'd know that something was amiss. The FBI lists Michigan as one of the top 10 states where we have the preponderance of real estate fraud. We had to suspend this, and in the interim, while we were the first county to do this, Oakland County next door took it and kind of improved upon it, and now they have a email notification system which allows people to be notified even faster. So if you want to monitor your parents' home to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of, or your property, you can sign up for this process. I think that we need to put that back in place because in times like these where technology is moving so quickly, and oftentimes scammers are moving quicker than maybe sometimes our citizens are, we want to make sure that people's homesteads in particular, but also their businesses and other properties have that level of protection. And then also, we have to acknowledge that we're getting older as a county, we're getting older as a region. They tell us that right now, 1 in 4 households in Macomb County have somebody who's 55 or older. We're getting older. We know that in just 10, 15 years, that's going to be even higher, and it's going to continue to rise. We need to figure out a way to help support older Americans, older citizens, to live in place and keep living independently. It's better for them in terms of health outcomes. It's cheaper for them. It's cheaper for our healthcare system in general. This isn't just a challenge for the county clerk's office, but for all of county government. And I really believe it's going to be the central public policy challenge for the next 25 years. How do we deal with an aging population? How do we adapt to meet their needs? And so I want to see the clerk's office take a leading role in that and restore mobile offices to bring services to seniors where they live, where they socialize. Because, like I said, I love downtown Mount Clemens. It's a great walkable community, and there's so many great things about it. But for somebody who lives in Shelby or Sterling, especially if they're older, you think about parking and where am I going to park and do I have to walk? And those are very real concerns that we have to acknowledge. So it's something which can be logistically complicated to bring those services to the community to where seniors are. But I know we can do it. And then it's also simple things like providing forms in larger print for aging eyes so that people can read things easier. So it's thinking about seniors, and it's also thinking about how we protect our property, are two urgent priorities that I think we need to address.
Hi, I'm here in the ShelbyTV studios with Lisa Sinclair, who's running for Macomb County Clerk, Register of Deeds. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Melanie. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, why don't you just start out by telling us a little bit about your background, your professional and educational background, maybe where you live, how long you've been a resident, and just general background.
All right, sure. My name is Lisa Sinclair, like Lake St. Clair, and I'm running for Macomb County Clerk, Register of Deeds, and I was born in Mount Clemens. I'm a homeowner in Harrison Township. I bought my home there in March of 2017. I'm an emergency room nurse at the DMC Sinai Grace Hospital. I'm an MSU graduate. I have a degree in political science, and I worked at our Capitol for the Michigan Senate from 2000. Actually, it was 11 years total. So 11 years, 1997 to 2008, and then I managed the doctor's office for right before I became a nurse, and I've been a nurse now for 2 years.
Excellent. Well, and what are some of the special skills that you picked up either when you were in the Senate or in your current job that make you a qualified candidate for the county clerk?
Well, I have over 20 years experience working with, I work with all types of people, sometimes very difficult people. In my job right now as a nurse, I see some horrible things like shootings, stabbings, car crashes, assaults. And not only do I have to deal with my patients and give them priority care, but I have to deal with the families, the doctors, other staff in the hospital. So I have to think fast and be able to calm people when they're very emotional, because, you know, imagine someone being stabbed or in a car accident. And so I have to deal with people during very difficult times. So.
Okay. And if you had to choose one thing that you feel is the most pressing need of the county as it relates to the county clerk's office right now, what would that be?
Well, unfortunately, I say we need an emergency room professional to straighten out the emergency at our Macomb County Clerk's office. And at the Macomb County Clerk's office, what I mean by that is, unfortunately, we had a clerk there that was removed, and I stepped up because I think offering excellent service to our residents is our #1 top priority. And when I say that, I mean we serve the whole 870,000 residents there. We have 85 people on staff, and when I win in November, I'm going to be the 4th clerk that's come in that office. 4 people have come in through this whole, and I'm working very hard to catch myself up right now. As a matter of fact, I watched the government operations meeting a few days ago on the 27th, and the current clerk, Clerk Smith, said that the vital records are up to date, which is great. I'm so happy for that. But there's so many other things. I want a peaceful transition, and I stepped up because I don't want to see anything happen like it did before. And I know that I have the skills. I work with all types of people very well, and there are some problems, though not really problems, but there's going to be a transition time. And then I've been passing this around. I've been all around Macomb County the last 4.5 months. But one thing that I see that has to be done better is the clerk needs to do a better job of collecting election law fines. Right now, there's $260,000 of uncollected fines. It's right on the website. And when I'm elected as the clerk, I'm going to aggressively collect that money. And I have this proposal. I think that it would be a way to make marriage a little cheaper. As you know, the clerk takes care of vital records, and they take marriage applications. My idea is to collect that $260,000 and use it towards first-time marriages to make marriage a little cheaper and promote 2-parent families in Macomb County. So that's one proposal that I have.
Excellent.
So.
As you're talking to people, you know, because the county clerk's office is an office that we all, at some point or another, you know, seem to have to, you know, whether it's a marriage or a death certificate or birth certificate or whatever, we're always touching that office. Are the constituents voicing the same concerns, or what do you hear people saying about what they think is the most pressing need of the office? They
just say that they want constantly. I hear people say efficiently, fair service, and they really like my campaign promise of fair and efficient service with a smile. I was so happy that they responded to that, because I was one of 11 candidates in the primary, and I've constantly reached out with that message: fair and efficient service with a smile, and I'm tough enough to get the job done. And I say Lisa Sinclair like Lake St. Clair. And another thing that I do tell people, since I am a nurse, I want to be there for residents during the whole process. When I get there, I'm going to go through every process with the staff and make sure that everything's fair and efficient, like they've reached out and said to me. And I do want to be with them during the best of times, like during marriage or a birth, and also the worst of times when there's a death or a divorce.
Sure.
So.
Well, and what would you say is one of the things that in your past experience, either with the Senate again or or during this campaign, that you've been the most proud of?
Well, actually, the day that I won the primary, I was incredibly proud. I worked so hard on my grassroots campaign. I've been going all over Macomb County, and I've been receiving such a positive response. But the day that I actually won that election, I was very proud. And just ever since moving back to Macomb County, I said I was born in Mount Clemens. My heart brought me back here because I absolutely love it here, and it would be such an opportunity for me to serve the whole county.
Well, we have just a couple minutes left.
Okay.
So in those 2 minutes, why don't you just wrap up by telling voters why they should vote for Lisa Sinclair on November 6th?
Okay. Well, the reason, again, Lisa Sinclair like Lake St. Clair. I'm the candidate. I'm going to go in there on November 6th. That I'm going to win the election that night, and I'm going to go in there. I have a platform because my platform speaks to the residents. Okay. Just like we talked about with all this fair and efficient service with a smile, I'm going to get in there just like an emergency nurse, and I'm going to start running from day one and meet with the staff, learn from them. I want to learn their personalities, and I actually want to sit down with them and ask them, what do you like about your job? What do you dislike about your job? How can we make it better? And I want to really work hard to unite that whole office of 85 people. And my number one goal as being the clerk is I want to have the most well-run office in Macomb County ever in history. And I'm going to do that by working with staff and using e-filing and technology. And I know that with my skills, we can get there.